In this lesson, we're going to build the canopy for our ship. Alright, so let's go to our front view by hitting F on the keyboard. And we're going to come in here and we're going to build the canopy for the ship here. Now we could do this a couple of different ways. We could create a box and use the box modeling method to create the canopy. We could use a line and trace it out and use that surface modifier to create the canopy. Or we could use polygonal modeling techniques. Again, what I'm trying to stress here is that there are multiple ways to a solution inside of 3ds Max, or really any 3D modeling program. So it's really all up to you and what you're more comfortable with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with just a box, and I'm going to drag this out and then release and drag to get our height here. You can see that fluctuating. And if I left click, we'll finalize that box, and then I'm going to go ahead and right click to end that box modeling process, and then we're going to right click and convert to editable poly. Let's go ahead and go to vertex mode and start to line up some of these vertices to our image. So I'm going to hit Alt X and just bring this vertex down to here. I'm going to grab this one and drag it down, and then this one I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to put it right here, and then we're going to put that vertex right here at the top, just to kind of match up with the shape that I've got. Now you'll notice that I'm missing the back end here, and that's okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to extrude that out to get that shape. So before we can do anything, what I need to do is I need to make a cut from here down to here to kind of close up this gap. So let's hit Alt Q to isolate this box that we've created, and I'm going to go to my perspective view by hitting P. And we're going to make a cut all the way around to attach this. So we're going to right click and cut. We'll start at this vertex and we'll go straight down. And then we'll go across. And then we're just going to rotate around to the other side, or orbit around to the other side. And then we'll click on that vertex to end that. So we've created two triangles here on each side, and that's okay. That's something that we can deal with. So I'm just going to hit F on the keyboard. And just taking a look at my vertices, those are pretty close to being right on top of one another. I don't think it's going to be a big issue here. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and hit Alt Q to turn that isolation mode off, and let's grab these vertices and drag these down. Okay, so we'll go to something right around in here. Now I know we have some gaps here, and what we're going to do is we're going to smooth this out so that it's not really anything that we need to worry about at this point. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and get the polygons on the back side here and fit that in. So we're just going to use extrude, and I'm just going to leave it at 10 and just hit OK. Let's go to our front view and go to vertex mode by hitting 1 on the keyboard, and let's move this vertex right up here, and there should be another set of vertices right in here, so let's hit F3 so we can see it, and then we're just going to position this right up here. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. We could go ahead and create a cut right across the bottom to make this into a quad, and I think that's probably going to be the best thing for us. So I'm going to hit Alt Q, and the issue that I'm talking about here is this triangle on this side, and that's not really going to be a good thing for us. So what we can do is we can make a cut from the bottom and split this polygon into two polygons, and that would create a quad right here. Okay, a four-sided polygon. So I'm going to right click, cut, and just cut from here to here. And that's all we're going to do. Let's go to our front view by hitting F and then Alt and Q. And I'm going to select all those vertices there and just drag that down. Okay. Alright, I'm going to hit F3 really quickly because I want to make sure that these vertices are a little bit closer. So I'm just going to put those right on top of one another the best that I can. I'm going to do the same thing here. Place that there. Now it doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to try and get that perfect. Okay, that should be okay. So now that we have this shape, let's go ahead and shape it up across the top. You'll notice that we really don't have the thickness that we're looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two vertices, move these over in the Y just to match that up there. Let's grab this one here, push that over the best that we can, and I'm going to move that forward in the X just to kind of close that gap up some. And that should be okay. And then we have this vertex right here. Let's just push that over. And we fit that pretty well. Okay. A couple of things that we want to do before we move on is we want to apply symmetry, so we need to get rid of these polygons in the center along that line of symmetry, because we can't have that floating polygons inside. So we want to delete those. We're going to go to edge mode, select one of these edges along the center, and then we're going to apply the symmetry modifier. And you'll notice that it's symmetried in the wrong direction, so let's go to our Z direction, and there we go. So now that that has been symmetried there, you can change the shape of your canopy, but I think this is going to work for us. It looks pretty good. I'm going to hit Alt-X to go back to my shaded view. And then what we're going to do is we're going to apply the Turbo Smooth on this really quickly, just to see what that looks like. Now before I do that, let me turn off that editable poly mode. Let's turn off edge mode there. Let's apply our Turbo Smooth and just see what that looks like right now. Now you'll see that that is going to be a little bit of a problem for us. It's rounding out along the bottom and getting rid of our shape. Now one thing that we forgot in the editable poly was we have these polygons along the bottom, and we don't need those. We need to get rid of those. So let's go to polygon mode. Let's select those polys and delete those out, because we need a hollow canopy for the pilot to actually sit in. If we have those polygons there, it's going to create a problem. So watch what happens now. Whenever we go back to our Turbo Smooth, you'll see that that's smoothed out. And we need to try and explain that. What has happened here? Well, anywhere that there are no polygons to smooth, that algorithm will stop at this point. So whenever we had polygons across the bottom, it was trying to smooth those as well. And what's happened now is that we've got rid of those. It only has to smooth this area. Okay, so it's not pulling as tight any longer. So we're going to get a nice smooth edge along those edges there. Now, the only thing that we need to do at this point is we need to come in and make just a few adjustments to our canopy here. Let's go to vertex mode, and we just need to pull some of these vertices down just to make sure that that fits in there. Do the same thing here, and I'm just trying to fit that inside there a little bit. Let's take a look at it in our perspective view, just hitting P on the keyboard. Alright, so now that we have that, that looks pretty good, but if I were to come in here and lift the canopy, we're going to notice that it's just very flat. We need to create a shell for this. We're not going to be able to see the inside. Now before I do anything, let's set up that pivot point really quickly. Let's go to Effect Pivot Only, and let's just move that right up to this point, and now we can rotate that the way it needs to be. So if you take a look at this, it looks okay, but if we render it, we're going to be able to see through that canopy. So let's apply a shell modifier to this to give it some thickness. Now let's go ahead and rotate that back down. I'm going to go to my front view, and I think that I want to create a little bit of like a rim around this canopy. So let's go to edge mode, and I'm going to take a look at this really quickly. Let's grab all of our polygons. Actually, you know what? Let's delete our Turbo Smooth. Let's convert our object down to editable poly, and let's create some segments here. So I'm going to go to edge mode, and I'm going to select the ring that it gives me. Let's hit Alt-Q to isolate this. I want to create an edge all the way around, just like so. So I'm going to deselect this one and this, and I'm going to go up to here and around. Okay, I want to create a new segment. And if I select these, I can still use that connect. And I can slide that just like so. And that's going to give me the segments that I need. Now the problem that it's going to create is that I've got this polygon right here that is a 5-sided polygon. We can go to vertex mode and we can see that. And that's going to create a little bit of an issue. So how can we fix that? And you'll also notice that that slide is not giving us the correct result on this side. So a way that we can fix that is we could come in and we can go to vertex mode, and we can move these by constraining them to their edges. Okay, we could do it that way. Okay, so we get that same sort of result. That looks good. Let's go to our front view and let's hit F3, and let's just drag those down until they are pretty much even. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll make a cut from here to here. So we'll right click and we'll cut from this vertex up to here, and we'll do the same thing here. Go to your front view, hit F3, and I just want to make sure that these vertices are fairly close together. And then I'm going to turn off the constraints and just drag this down some. Alright, that looks good. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and go to polygon mode and select the loop all the way around. Okay, this polygon here. And it looks like we have the same thing going on this corner, so we forgot that. Let's right click and cut here to there. And then we'll do the same thing here. Alright, now let's go to polygon mode. Should have all of those selected, and we're just going to use a simple extrude. We're going to extrude it by its local normal. Let's take that amount down. We should get something that's a little more manageable. Now we don't want to go extrude out too much here, as that can create just kind of a weird little rim. So we just want to go to something like 0.2. Let's hit our orbit around here, just take a look at that rim and see what that's going to look like. I'm going to bring that out to about 0.5. Oops. Let's hit OK, and then with that selected, I can drag that down in the Z just to kind of help shape that back a little bit more. Let's grab these, and I'm just going to pull those back up a little bit. And this is where you may have to just come in and do a little bit of reshaping just to get that thickness that you need on your canopy. Okay, and doing this with a low polygon piece of geometry makes things much easier. Alright, so now we've got our canopy, we've got that rim that we were looking for. I'm just looking at the overall height of everything, and everything's looking pretty good at this point. Let's take a look at it smoothed. So we're going to do turbo smooth, iterations up to 2, isoline display, and there we've got a canopy, but we don't have the hard edges that we need for this. So just like we've been doing, let's use that swift loop really quickly, and let's create some of these harder edges that we need. And I'm going to go around the bottom of that rim there, and that'll kind of draw that up, make that a little bit harder. Okay, so just like so. Turn that off. That gives us a canopy that looks pretty good. Let's hit Alt and Alt and Q, and I'm going to hit Z to just frame that up. And there we go. So now we've got our canopy to our ship, and now the last thing that we need to build is going to be our landing gear. So we'll do that next.